how do we experience learning and education across the lifespan? Well, of course, there are many informal ways that we learn. We learn at home. We learn from everyday living. In fact, we learn all the time from other people and from mistakes and from successes in the informal contexts that we operate in. But we also have semi-formal contexts. For example, if we're an apprentice, we learn on the job. There is some instruction. We repeat and copy and reflect. So there are semi-formal contexts in which we also learn. Education, typically, as we understand it, is the formal way in which learning happens in institutions like schools and universities. For our purposes, the education that happens in formal education contexts, we define as learning by design. That is, the purposeful choices that teachers make and learners make that leads to the transformation of learners as people and as experts and as creative beings.
Let me build on some of those ideas and some of those distinctions now, and I want to make a distinction between informal and formal learning. So here we have a little boy doing informal learning, playing, building something, and the object that he's creating teaches him stuff about structures. He learns stuff about the world. And by the way, this is how children learn for the first part of their lives. And actually, even when they start going to school, there's a lot of informal learning going on through play, through all sorts of unstructured exploration of the world, by hearing language, by watching their parents. So informal learning is huge, even when formal learning has started. We have the same little boy in a formal learning environment. So what's changed? Well, he's sitting up there at a desk, he's in a classroom, there's a piece of paper which is bounded by these edges, there are artefacts there which are part of his instruments of learning. This is a consciously structured, framed institutional space where learning is occurring, otherwise known as the school.
What is formal learning for us? What does it involve? Well, of course, it involves a learning community in a place, in a time, and it has participants. And these factors shape what happens in significant ways. There's also something that we call curriculum, and that is the planned, structured instruction about something. It could be music, could be history, it could be about how to be polite in different contexts. It could have any kind of thematic, but it's the intervention that occurs around a particular learning goal. And then thirdly, we have something that we call pedagogy, and that is what the instructor or the teacher gets the learners to do. And these three aspects, again, are interrelated. The learning community, the curriculum, and the pedagogy go together. Sometimes they go together well, and sometimes they don't go together so well. The evidence in how effective learning communities, curriculum, and pedagogy are is in the well-being and the performance of learners and the participants of this learning, any particular learning experience.
Again, I want to push these distinctions even further, and I want to become a little bit theoretical about these distinctions. So informal learning happens everywhere and all the time, and it happens casually, and it's incidental to just everyday living. It's part of life. We're learning all the time. And the ways in which several important theorists have framed this, Husserl, a 20th century philosopher, and Habermas, a European social theorist, they have this concept of the life world. And the life world is this world that's around you, which you're semi-conscious of. It's stuff that you take for granted, it's stuff that's assumed. You don't think about it reflectively, you don't think about it theoretically, you don't talk about it explicitly, you're just immersed in it. It's the world that's subjectively felt. Another nice way to characterise this space of informal learning is Pierre Bourdieu, another social theorist, has a nice phrase where he says it's the world that goes without saying because it comes without saying. We don't have to speak about it explicitly. That little boy is just playing with the Lego, and we don't have to set up a lesson. We don't have to explain the rules of Lego. It's just something that he's immersed in, which goes without saying because it comes without saying. It doesn't have to be spoken about. We're just immersed in it. That's informal learning. Now, education, by contrast, is formal learning. And how do we define that? I'm going to now split this up into a set of sub-concepts of education. It's conscious and explicit designs. And those conscious and explicit designs consist of, at a top level, learning communities that operate in institutions, the school, the university, the college. And within the school, within those institutions, we have curriculum, which is a plan of action, which we've planned for, I don't know, a course or a whole program or a whole stretch of life, the university degree or high school or some such thing. Curriculum is the bigger plan. And then what we have as we get down from the macro to the in-between to the absolutely micro is we have pedagogy, which I want to define as the microdynamics of learning. Every little move you make, which contributes to learning. And what constitutes education is the fact that this is all explicit, it's premeditated, it's conscious, it's really well thought through. And my kind of final slogan is education is learning by design, right? It's actually by design. It's something which has been constructed consciously, planned, implemented systematically. It's by design.